All right, so we've done a bunch of really good business laptops here in 2025. Getting more battery life than we've seen in the past, especially with Lunar Lake. We're seeing more powerful processors, especially from AMD. And of course, Apple, tried and true with their M4, M4 Pro, M4 Max processor in their MacBook Pro line, has really taken things to another level. So business laptops are actually looking good. Yes, they are more expensive. Yes, they do provide more security features than your standard laptop, and a few other features like 5G and other things like that, that some of them offer that you don't get on a standard consumer-based notebook or laptop. And they're getting lighter, they're getting thinner in most cases, and they're just getting better, right? So I wanted to take a look at some of the top business laptops in the 13 and 14 inch range here for 2025 that are great for travel, that are great for productivity, and just great battery life and overall great production machines. So productivity machines, I should say. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Now, the first one up is going to be this one. This is the ThinkPad X1 Carbon Gen 13 Aura Edition. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but tried and true ThinkPad X1 Carbon, the flagship of the ThinkPad line, and this is amazing. So a couple of big changes year over year with Gen 13 is now you get this under a kilogram, which is pretty amazing. You get this 2.8K OLED display, 120 hertz refresh rate, pretty amazing, right? So it's got great build quality. It's got great durability in terms of the military standard 810H rating. It's got an amazing keyboard, trackpad, touchpad, whatever you want to call it, and of course the track point. Now, speaking of the touchpad, there is a Sensal haptic version that you can get with this, so that is definitely one I recommend. And of course, even the standard one is good with physical mouse buttons, but I would say this has been pretty darn good. And again, I can't believe they got it so thin and light, basically replacing the X1 Nano that is no longer, and basically all you need is this one now, and it can go back 180 degrees. So one of my favorites here for 2025. So the ThinkPad X1 Carbon Gen 13 is a definite winner here in my book. Now, despite the fact that this has a 2.8K OLED display, a high refresh rate, 120 hertz, I was able to still get pretty good battery life here, really great battery life. In fact, I got 16 and a half hours mixed use on the PC Mark X Modern Office test, about 15 and a half hours or so on the video playback. So definitely good for longevity, especially if it's somebody on the road that needs it, especially on an airplane. Despite the fact that this comes in so light and so thin, it definitely gives you that longevity that business users want. Now, one thing to note about the X1 Carbon Gen 13, you can now get it with the Arrow Lake processor, which does not have the 32 gigabyte limit in terms of memory like you get with Lunar Lake. So here you can go up to 64 gigabytes of memory, and you can see it there. 2 terabytes of storage, upgradable storage, by the way, 2280 full-size SSD, M.2 2280, and you're also going to get the optional 2.8K OLED display, either touch or non-touch. I have the non-touch here. So those are some of the options. Again, link for the X1 Carbon will be in the description below for those that are interested. All right, so next up is the ThinkPad X9 Gen 1. This is the Aura Edition. This is a brand new ThinkPad, and I know there was some controversy regarding this when it was introduced back at CES. I got hands-on time. I reviewed the 14-inch model. I also reviewed the 15-inch model, and this has turned out to be one of my favorite laptops of 2025, whether it be business, consumer, or anything. It's really that good. And as you can see here, gorgeous 2.8K OLED display. It is simply stunning. 120 hertz. Obviously, it even has pen support, which is something you don't normally see. And of course, the price wasn't too bad either. I'll put the latest pricing in the link below. A little bit different take on the keyboard here. So this has actually been pretty good as well. A little different than the X1 Carbon. It is definitely heavier than the X1 Carbon, although it is a very thin and light laptop. It has a haptic touchpad that's done well, a Sensal touchpad, I believe, on the this one on the 14-inch, but on the 15-inch, it was not Sensal for whatever reason. But either way, this is a very good touchpad. good keyboard, like I said, good camera here, and a really good display that can go back 180 degrees. So definitely one to look at. Good battery, good performance, everything you'd want out of a ultra portable is here. This is running Intel's Lunar Lake, and of course, certainly good enough for what you're going to use this for. Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, all worked very well. You can see how beautiful this display is. I've been loving this laptop quite a bit. I know it doesn't have the traditional track point on the keyboard there. Not a big deal for me. It's a more modern take on a ThinkPad, and I think the execution here was very good. Next up is a sibling to the two that I just showed you. This is the ThinkPad X1 2-in-1 Gen 10 Aura Edition. So like the X1 Carbon Gen 13 Aura Edition, this has a lot of the same DNA, although this is a 2-in-1 convertible. This comes with different display options. I have the Full HD Plus non-glare. In other words, it's much like a matte display, almost like a nano texture on it. Really nice. But it's Full HD Plus 60 hertz, but they do offer a higher end OLED display, 2.8K resolution and 120 hertz. So that is an upgrade option. Optional 5G for this as well, so that's great for the business user. But with this Full HD Plus matte finish, you're going to get productivity done, no glare, no reflection. Excellent, really, in terms of that. And then, of course, excellent battery life on this. We saw really good numbers. I'll leave the link to the review. Lunar Lake here, of course, up to a Core Ultra 7 268V, so that's going to give you V Pro, all the security features that come with that. And again, pen support here. This is going to be good for taking notes, sketching out artwork, and the like. This sticks magnetically to the side there, charges USB Type-C. So definitely very good. A little heavier, obviously, than the X1 Carbon, which is a clamshell. This, of course, is a 2-in-1, but a very good one. It comes in this nice gray finish. Shows less fingerprints than the X1 Carbon, because this is not black, obviously. Really one of my favorite 2-in-1 business convertibles on the market. Again, I'll leave links for everything in the description below. Now, next up is one of my favorites of 2025. Unfortunately, consumers really can't get it, or they just have to go to the Microsoft business website, but you can buy it, and like I did, and it's the Microsoft Surface Laptop for Business Copilot plus PC running the Intel's Lunar Lake processor. It is more expensive than the consumer counterpart running the Snapdragon X processor or X Elite processor, whatever, but definitely one to look at if you're a business user, because it has an excellent keyboard, a really nice display. Unfortunately, it's not an OLED display. That's the one thing that I think it should have. Hopefully, we'll see a version of that next year, I hope. We never know with Microsoft, but a really great, beautiful looking business laptop. It comes on either the Platinum, which shows the least amount of fingerprints, and then of course in that iconic black that I really love. Although it does have a pretty decent oleophobic coating, you still will see some fingerprints. I like the keyboard. I like the haptic touchpad. It's a Sensal haptic touchpad that worked really well. I like the battery life, which was phenomenal on that as well. Again, Intel Lunar Lake is going to give you efficiency, longevity, and certainly good enough for the performance that you need it to do. Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, and the like. That worked out really well. I just wish Microsoft would offer that to the consumer side as well, giving the choice to the consumer. But as far as a business user, go over to Microsoft's business site and their business outlets that they work with, like CDW, I think might sell it, but don't quote me on that. You can get the Intel-based Surface laptop for business. Again, they have to fix those names, but I think it's one of the best laptops, whether it be business or consumer, for 2025, and it's high on my list, that's for sure. Now let's move over to some HP business laptops, of course, in their EliteBook line. And this one over here, one is a pre-production unit, the other one is a retail unit. This is the retail unit, and we'll look at that in a moment. But it's the HP EliteBook X G1a. A stands for the AMD Ryzen processor. And of course, this is one that you're going to use for performance here. It is running the AMD Ryzen AI9 HX Pro 375 with Radeon 890M graphics. And I got to tell you, this has been pretty phenomenal. If you want real good single and multi-core performance, you're going to want to check these out. Now, display-wise, we're looking at 14-inch displays. This is a 2.8K OLED display. It is a touchscreen display. This one is a non-touch Full HD plus display, 60 hertz. This is 120 hertz, so there are some options here. Business users definitely want something with less glare, less reflection. We'll look at this one. This is a glossier display, so just keep that in mind. But I think overall, these are two excellent choices here from their EliteBook line. These are AI PCs. They have the requisite number of tops. So if you're going to do any kind of AI work, this is definitely good, especially if you're on the road. Now, these weigh a little bit more. They're a little bit thicker, but you get really good battery life, especially for the one on the Full HD Plus. You'll do a less battery life as expected with the OLED display, but respectable battery numbers nonetheless, despite having the high-end, high refresh rate display. Keyboards are excellent on this. Really good touchpads. They are not haptic, but they're very good traditional style trackpads. Very good. Excellent port selections here. Really, really great job here by HP. And this is a solid offering from HP. Of course, you can see in this beautiful Glacier Silver, shows minimal amounts of fingerprints here. So overall, pretty good. And one of my favorites, especially if you want performing laptops in this category. They are a little bit heavier. They are a little bit thicker, but I take that any day of the week if you can get that kind of cooling and performance that these give. So next up is the HP EliteBook Ultra G1i, the I standing for Intel. And of course, this is a really good one here. It is thin, it is light, it's got a gorgeous display, it's got 2.8K resolution, OLED, 120 hertz. Definitely one to look at. Let me plug it in. It is one of my favorites here for 2025. It has a haptic touchpad here that has been excellent in terms of scrolling, gestures. The haptic engine is very good. The feedback is phenomenal on it. It's great. I love it. It's got this magnesium alloy, lightweight. It's all metal. It's premium. I like the row here, of course. That's a little lighter than the darker keys here. And by the way, it has a nice backlit keyboard here. So it has been very good. And especially with this 2.8K OLED display, high-end camera with a shutter switch over here. So for video conferencing and going mobile with this thing is pretty nice. Very premium, obviously, and looking really good. Now, some people don't like this light color button here, of course. It does help you differentiate the power button from all the other keys. So, all right, say what you want about it, but I think overall, this has been really good. And here you can take a look at this touchscreen display. It is very good for scrolling, doing all the gestures. You can use your fingers. Let me go to my website here. And again, very, very nice, responsive. One thing I noticed is a little bit more screen wobble than I'd like, especially for high-end premium flagship, but not a deal breaker. But something I noticed more than the others is a little bit of screen wobble, but it does go back 180 degrees for those wondering. And it is an excellent choice here. Good port selections, especially because it's so thin and light. It even has a drop jaw USB-A port. So, I mean, overall, this is a really great option for those that want extremely thin and light with a gorgeous, and I say gorgeous, 2.8K OLED 120 hertz display. Next up are two of my favorite here for 2025. I just reviewed this one, the Dell Pro 13 Premium, and its bigger sibling, the Dell Pro 14 Premium. Both are excellent choices for 2025 here, with some really interesting features, and especially on this one, which is the version that has the tandem OLED display. This one is a 13.3-inch QHD resolution, 2560 by 1600. This one is 60 hertz. This one is also 60 hertz. So those are the two things that I noticed on these that the others have when they go with OLED. For instance, on the others, we get 120 hertz. We don't get them on here. They're looking to maximize battery life, and boy, did they maximize battery life on both of these. If you get this one in the IPS version that I looked at with that Full HD Plus resolution, you're looking at 25 plus hours, and almost broke the records there. I think it might have actually. This one did really well, 21 plus hours, both tests, really 20 plus hours both. So really good on the battery test. I just did the review on that one, so I'll put a link for those that didn't see it in the description below. But these are two of my favorite here for 2025. Optional 5G, zero lattice keyboards, collaboration touchpads, a mini LED backlight that saves power in terms of giving you more longevity, but still gives you a nice backlight on the keyboard. That's worked out well. Really good. There are a few things that I would like to see change next year, but for the most part, these are some of the best, if not the best, on the market right now. Great port selection on them. One thing I notice here that we're not seeing any SD card readers on any of them, whether it be HP, Lenovo, Dell, HP, all that, even, of course, Surface, although if you go with the 15-inch, you can get a micro SD card reader. But other than that, I don't really see any other card readers. I could be mistaken, but that's just something I noticed. Again, thin and light, portable. These are the type of laptops to take with you on the go, especially for productivity work, especially for longevity when it comes to battery life. The Dell Pro 13 and 14 premiums are ones you want to take a look at. And this tandem OLED, just as an aside here, is so special, so nice, really one of my favorites here, and it is a touchscreen display. The only thing is it's not 120 hertz, which is a little bit of an omission. However, the fact that I've been using it, I didn't really notice I'm missing it all that much. And if it gives you a little bit more battery life, despite having a tandem OLED, I think that is a win, although it would have been nice to have 120 hertz. But of course, let me know what you think in the comment section below. They're both magnesium alloy laptops. They're both thin and light, and they both have a small footprint. Easy to take with you on the go. So next up is the MacBook Pro. Yes, this is the one with the M4, but you can get M4 Pro, M4 Max. I have the 16-inch with the M4 Max fully decked out. I do a lot of video editing on this. This is my travel laptop if I want to bring a Mac with me. One of the things I love about this one is this option for a nano texture display. Either you can get it on this 14-inch or the 16-inch one. And I got to say that this one is the best in terms of a nano texture display that I absolutely love. You can see it here. This really is a bright mini LED, no glare, no reflection. You pay extra, I think, $100, $150, and I think it's worth it for it. I wish they would make the iPad Pro with a nano texture a lot cheaper. Hopefully that'll be the case, as they did here on the MacBook Pro line. This is great. Now, a couple of things to note. I'm not a big fan of the notch here on the top there. It's a little unsightly. You do get used to it, I guess. But once I see it, I cannot unsee it. That's just me coming from very thin bezels on some of the Windows counterparts. That is one thing. Now, good keyboard. I personally am not the biggest fan of the keyboard. I like the ThinkPad keyboards better. I like the HP and Dell keyboards better. For some reason, I'm not the most accurate on this. And the other thing I noticed is it collects a lot of grease and smudge, more so than the others in the category. So I'm not really sure what kind of oleophobic coating they're using here, but they need to improve that. But it's a decent keyboard. It's not bad. You'll get your work done. Phenomenal touchpad on this. It's a haptic touchpad. I think it's probably the top of the line and the best in the business. And I think Windows laptops are making strides, especially with the Stencil touchpads. But this one by the Apple Force Pad here, whatever they're calling it, is probably the best, if not the best in the business. Phenomenal speakers here. I can't say enough about them. Best in the business. A pretty good camera here, center stage camera. That's good. But one thing missing is no IR, no face recognition. You'll have to use the Touch ID there to log in, which you do have face recognition like you get on some Windows laptops. Gaming, not the best on this. Obviously, you'll do better on Windows, but the processor here is a star as far as I'm concerned. The M4 line of processors has been amazing. I think the sweet spot for business users will be the M4 Pro, although I'm using the M4 on this, and I've done video editing on it. I've done a lot of good stuff on it. If you want extra oomph, go with the M4 Pro. I think the M4 Max on a 14-inch is a little overkill for most people, and it might give you some thermal issues. So I would stick to the M4 Pro, more than capable. In fact, it's pretty phenomenal. So an excellent choice for those Mac users out there. Now, of course, some people want to run Windows and you don't want to look at this. Fine, I understand that. But there are some things they can improve. Excellent, by the way, excellent port selection, probably the best of the bunch here. It has a full-size SD card reader, other than the Windows parts where we didn't really see any. This does have a full-size SD card reader on the right side. It doesn't have USB-A, but it gives you Thunderbolt 5. So that's the other thing that you don't get on those. These are Thunderbolt 5 ports to make it a little bit more future-proof. and an excellent build, right? I have it in the space black here. You can see it here. It does collect some fingerprints, and the keyboard, like I said, smudges up very quickly and easily, which I'm not crazy about, but the lid is okay. You will have to wipe it down, but if you don't like fingerprints, go with the silver option, which of course is a tried and true option in the past, and it is currently as well. So I like the MacBook Pro. I think it's an excellent choice for the business user. Good battery life, great battery life, actually. So great overall performance, great speakers, great touchpad. A few things here and there I'd like to see them change, great ports, but overall, a great choice here for 2025. Now, the last one here that we're going to look at is the Framework Laptop 13 for 2025. I think that it's a really interesting laptop in the sense that it's a modular laptop. There's a easily serviceable. The components are all modular. You can change out the different ports and so forth. I think it's pretty amazing. They have these little modules you can buy for the different functionalities. I have an SSD drive here. I got USB-C there. You got another USB-C. You got a USB-A, but you can put HDMI. You can put all sorts of things that they're offering. Keyboard's good. The build quality is not as good as, say, a MacBook or some of the others, like the Surface laptop, or some of the others in the category that we looked at. But the modularity is the key here. Running Linux on this is amazing. You can get it with Linux. You can install Linux. You can dual boot on this. I mean, you can get it with Windows. It's running the AMD Kraken point. Obviously, it's pretty good, although you can also get it with the Strix point as well for a little bit more power. So I'm loving those processors, especially for single and multi-core. I have the Kraken point here. Not quite as powerful as the Strix point, but pretty good nonetheless for what you're going to use this for. You can go back 180 degrees. It has this translucent lid here, or little frame around here that you can change out to different colors. So they give you a little bit more personality here. Very nice keyboard, like I said. 3:2 aspect ratio, like a Surface laptop, which I'm a big fan of. So you see more on the display. It'll be taller, less scrolling when it comes to web browsing and stuff like that. So I think that is a really, really nice option here. And especially the modularity of this, easily getting inside this, of course, and changing out the ports and stuff and the like, especially if you want to run Linux, especially if you want to have serviceability and longevity with this in terms of lasting for more than a few years. So you can actually expand this out, change out components pretty easily. I'll leave a link to my review of this in the description below. So these are just the top laptops so far for 2025. Since we're midway or so through the year, we are expecting to see more. So this list can change, but I wanted to touch base and give you an updated list here of the top business laptops in the 13 and 14-inch categories for 2025. Let me know how you like it. Let me know if there's anything I missed here. I think I covered the top ones, but there are going to be new ones out that we will obviously take a look at, and the list may change as time goes on here in 2025. But of course, let me know what you think in the comment section below. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, and if you are a casual viewer of that content, speaking of subscribing, why not hit that subscribe button? It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps support the channel. It helps grow this channel so we can get more laptops in to review from the companies, so I don't have to go out of pocket, which can be very expensive. Now, if you're going to buy something like the laptops we saw here today, I have links for everything in the description below. Yes, they are affiliate links, and no, I don't get a huge commission, a small commission that certainly goes to help support the channel and keep the lights on here in the studio. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.